One Sunday in April 1992, a business associate of mine came up to me. Actually, he called me on the phone. "Dennis?" And I said, "Hey, Woody, how are you?" He said, "Dennis, there's going to be this Jewish man in our church on Sunday, and he's going to speak about Jesus and the Passover, and the pastor told us to invite all our Jewish friends. You want to come?" And for some reason, I said, "You know, Woody, I think I do." My goal was to prove him wrong. Do you understand that? I was raised in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm an only child, which will explain some of my arrogance when I was younger. Friday night synagogue, Saturday morning synagogue. Our life pretty much revolved around the synagogue. In the last week of August every year, we went away to camp out in the woods, usually down in North Carolina. Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, everything stopped. Everybody just kind of got ready for Shabbat. We cleaned our cabins, we straightened everything up. Everybody would dress in white. And I remember walking into the synagogue with the aroma of Shabbat all over me and smelling nothing but upper middle class Jewish people who wanted to talk about nothing else but their cars, their houses, and where their kids were going to college. And it made me so sad. It was a religious upper middle class country club that did all the right things at the right time with the right liturgy. And God was not there. When I went off to college, I didn't want to have anything to do with synagogue life, and all I wanted to do was to experience life. From bongs, beer, and blacklights to yoga, transcendental meditation, majoring in philosophy in university. Why are we here? What are we doing? I remember the song, I forget who it was by, but it was called "What's It All About, Alfie?" It was by Dionne Warwick. That's who it was from. That was kind of my theme song. It seemed like each venture got shorter and shorter and shorter because it took less and less time to figure out this wasn't an answer either. There was no real answer to life. I'm just going to go out and make a lot of money and have a nice family. I gave up my search, if you will. The morning that we were invited to go and visit with our friend Woody at the Baptist church on Palm Sunday morning, that morning Tina and I woke up fighting. And it was nasty. I don't know if any of you have ever had nasty fights with your wife. If you're not, haven't, then you're not married. I remember sitting in the car in front of our house and debating whether I should turn it on. Now, I knew I had given my commitment for Woody to go. We got to the church building, we're sitting in the church parking lot, and we're fighting in the car in the parking lot. And all of a sudden I see Woody out of the corner of my eye, and he's in the church entrance, and he's going like this, you know? And I remember I had my right hand on the steering wheel, I looked at Tina, and I raised my left hand out the window, and I went like this, and I looked at Tina, and I said, "Well, I guess we can't leave now." Now, as I look back at it, I know why we were fighting. The message that was given by this Jewish man was called the Messiah in the Passover. I had celebrated Passovers all of my life from as early as I can remember. As a matter of fact, I led many Passover Seders. And here this man's telling me something about my Passover that I didn't know. And he made me very, very uncomfortable. My goal was to prove him wrong. I mean, here he had greatly disturbed my paradigms. But I did not want to believe that Jesus was Jewish, let alone that he might be the Messiah. And so I'm very good at argumentation, I'm very good at debate, and I decided I'm going to ask him questions. And he said, "You can ask me anything you want." Well, I remember we met for about 7 or 8 weeks. I asked him about virgin birth. I asked him about the necessity of blood in the Hebrew Scriptures. I asked him where the Hebrew Scriptures talk about sin, and he would open up the Scriptures and he would turn it around. He'd say, "Here, read this." And I remember the last time that we met on Wednesday afternoons, I said, if the Messiah's been here, how come this world is so crazy? How come this world's so messed up? How come we don't live in a messianic age? What kind of Messiah do you serve if he's come already and the world is still like this? Now, I'm not telling you to read Daniel 9, but I am telling you that when he took me through this chapter, and he took me through the chronological prophecy of the coming and the death of Messiah, I had no more objections anymore. God got me so interested and so upset with the possibility that Jesus might be the Messiah. I mean, the prophecy says that the Messiah would have to come before the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Now, even I knew that happened over 2,000 years ago. The Saturday after this study in the book of Daniel, that Shabbat service, it happened to be the Shabbat in May that was the closest to May 15, and we celebrated the creation or the recreation, really, of the state of Israel, which was May 14, 1948. In the middle of the worship service, they had everybody stand up and sing Hatikvah. I don't remember what I was thinking. I don't know if I was necessarily thinking of anything. But I started to weep uncontrollably. And it was at that moment, in the midst of weeping, with my little girl in my arms, that I understood that he was the Messiah of Israel, that he was not just a national Messiah, but he was a personal Messiah, that he was my Messiah.